come with me as I upgrade the craft store button on my Hakari cosplay to an actual Tokyo Prefectural Jujutsu High School button. We'll do a little bit of recoloring and then I'll eventually get it sewn on. And I'm going to be using one of my spare Nobara cosplays for the button so I don't have to design anything or buy anything. For those of you who don't know, I did do a few skirt Gojo photos and videos.
He stayed out, I'm good enough.
They're in a playlist on TikTok and should be a playlist on YouTube. Instagram doesn't really have a good search function, but that's why I have the Nobara cosplays. So my hoodie is not special, it didn't come with a button, I just pinned it on. I get that question all the time, but for my Hakari reboot, I just wanted to be a bit more legit. Today I'm using rustoleum to give it a nice gold look, and then acrylic paint to make the lines look black. And I just have some cheap brushes, a paper plate to paint on, and my handy dandy spraying cardboard. Shout out to my Lord Forger weapon. So first I'm just gonna cut off the buttons, it's nothing fancy. And now we're gonna paint. Make sure you give the rustoleum a good shake. Don't be like me, play too much and crack the top. You're supposed to use this thing in a well ventilated area or outdoors. I'm using a mask just because, not because it says to, and I'm sure there are proper masks out there for spray painting and all that stuff, but I felt like this would be suffice for a quick little spray. So you wanna do 2 to 3 light coats and wait a few minutes in between each coat, and that was kind of satisfying. Wait 10 minutes before you touch the rustoleum, an hour before you can handle it, and 8 hours for it to fully dry. I just waited overnight. But this next part was the part that I was nervous for. Thin lines are very tricky. I'm a very dexterous person, but paint and brushes don't always do what you want them to do. So I tested out a couple of techniques. First time around I was trying to be really tedious, but it wasn't going super well. I had a hard time getting the paint to just lay down on the button. It took forever, there was a lot of streaks, it wasn't going well. I ended up live streaming while doing this, but I accidentally deleted the footage, which was at a better angle, but the method that eventually worked best was going in really quickly section by section, trying to fill in the grooves, that way it'll settle and dry, and as the acrylic is wet, just going in with a Q-tip and wiping it off, because the paint does come off pretty easily before it's dry. This method turned out to be the fastest, the easiest, and the most precise, so it's definitely something I'm keeping in mind for future tedious projects, or even working with makeup. I definitely used this when I was doing my Sukuna cosplay. Being precise is an amazing skill, but you can only be as precise as your materials allow you to be. So sometimes the cleanest method is actually to be a little bit messy, and just go back and forth until you get something nice in the end. And here are the final products. There are some errors, but it's still pretty good. However, compared to how long it took, they barely look any different. And eventually I did get it sewn onto my hoodie, but the abrasions from transferring it from a bag scratched it up. So yeah, that's cosplay. Sometimes things work out, sometimes things don't, but I wouldn't call it a waste of time. Honestly, I learned some new painting skills, I got comfortable using rustoleum, I tested out its durability, and I was able to document this for other people. So it was a necessary adventure, but I'm still kind of annoyed.